Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. And we are continuing our series of morning meditations looking at the various readings that are assigned for morning and evening prayer, known as the Daily Office Lectionary. And today we are going to continue to look at St. Luke's Gospel because we've got really two amazing stories contained within one particular teaching. There's the story of the raising of Jairus' daughter, but in the middle is what I want to concentrate on, which is the healing of the woman with an issue of blood. Now, I hope you are reading the whole lesson that's assigned for morning prayer, and that you will be edified by both parts of the story. But I want to focus in on the one that kind of gets lost usually because of the miracle of the raising of the young 12-year-old girl from the dead. And so we hear this beginning at verse number 42b. And as they went through, the people thronged him. And a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which had spent all of her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any, came behind him and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood staunched. And Jesus said, "Who touched me?" When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, "Master, the multitude throng thee and press thee, and thou sayest who touched me?" And Jesus said, "Someone hath touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me." And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling, and falling down before him, she declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said unto her, "Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith had made thee whole. Go in peace." So a couple of things for us to think about today as we listen to that one particular story. First of all, the fact that this particular woman comes to Jesus almost sheepishly and embarrassingly. On one hand, there's a sense of humility involved in this. But it actually has more to do with the Jewish restriction against women being in public company when they have an issue of blood, whether it be post-childbirth or during their monthly cycles. Women were considered unclean while they had that issue of blood. And so for this woman to have 12 years of an issue of blood, not only does she obviously have a health issue going on, for which Jesus has mercy upon her with her healing, but there's also the sense that, like a leper or like others who have some sort of communicable disease, she is outcast from proper and prim society. And yet she has a sense that this great person, she probably doesn't comprehend the fullness of who Jesus is as the Son of God yet. But she has this sense that even if she's able to touch the hem of his garment, she'll be able to receive healing. And as Jesus affirms, in fact, it is her great faith that brings about this healing. But how remarkable is it that Jesus could sense this just by being touched? I mean, the whole crowd is trying to get a piece of Jesus. They all want to get close to him. They want to touch him. They want to not only want to hear what he's about, but they all have some sort of desire and need to be that close to Jesus. And yet Jesus could tell that that particular touch by that woman had intention. And the intention was to seek healing from Jesus. Ultimately, of course, the healing is from God, and Jesus is the Son of God. So we know that that is a direct correlation. But the reality is that she, because of how society had pushed that down upon her, because of the issue of the flowing of blood, thereby making her an outcast, she is able, by grace, to receive that healing. And she does so by coming to Jesus with humility. Now, I'm not saying that the way that we can find faith is for us to somehow sneak up behind Jesus and try to reach out to him. That's generally not how it works. This story is kind of an outlier. It's a story that has a special particular intention. We bring to the forefront the fact that she comes to Jesus and she has faith that he in fact can heal her. That's the part of the story. And the fact that she can do so with such humility in faithfulness is the real oomph of the story. She is now healed. And more importantly, she's made whole. Because wholeness is even better than healing. Healing's a physical and maybe a spiritual thing, but wholeness means she is now all put together. physically and spiritually, and by God's grace, can be emotionally as well. And she can be restored to being a part of the community because of the end of the issue of blood. All sorts of amazing bits of nuance, and that's part of why we need to know our Old Testament and our understanding of the Jewish law in order for us to understand how Jesus uses this and how stories in the New Testament help us to confirm Jesus Christ, who is in fact the Son of God. All of the Old Testament we read with New Testament eyes and understand how Jesus is the fulfillment of God's promise. I hope that you have a wonderful Wednesday, and may God bless you.